Hi, Mike Matchett with Small World Big Data, and I'm here today talking about something near and dear to our hearts, which is data protection. Particularly in the last couple of years, we've seen ransomware just keep ramping up and ramping up and ramping up, and people still getting hit with it and still not quite necessarily knowing how to protect their data fully with that. I have got Clumio here today. I've got Chad Kenney, who's the VP of Product at Clumio, and we're going to talk a little bit about what Clumio's been doing in the cloud to help people protect their data. Welcome, Chad.
Hey, Mike, thanks so much for having us.
All right, so Clumio's been a cloud-first solution for since I've known them from the start here, but it's been a while since I caught up with you guys. What is going on now with Clumio? What are you focusing on? What's causing you to really make new features today?
Awesome. So first off, just as a foundation, Clumio is a backup as a service offering. We
Yeah.
focus in on public cloud assets. So we focus on AWS, EC2, EBS, RDS, DynamoDB, and S3. And we are a very secure service that stores customers' data and protects them from ransomware and provides a whole bunch of great facilities around global visibility, rapid recovery, and delivers this as a turnkey solution. We also support Microsoft 365 and VMware Cloud running in AWS as well. And this one centralized service provides customers a whole bunch of values to be able to get to the data that you need to, recover it fast when needed, and provide great cost reduction, especially with this one centralized service. What we've been working on over time is just really listening to customers and figuring out where the pains and challenges exist within AWS data protection. And most recently, we've announced a couple cool key capabilities. One is we now protect S3, which is the largest, I'd say, thing to tackle in the public cloud. And it enabled customers to actually protect things that didn't have a backup solution in the past and was one of their largest assets that they needed to protect. We added in DynamoDB, giving new feature sets that went beyond the snapshots. And then lastly, we just announced Secure Vault Lite, which is a new cost-effective solution for customers to get air gap protection effectively at no incremental cost compared to the in-account snapshots.
All right, so when you looked at the problem people were having a couple of years ago, there were obviously lots of solutions for data protection in the data center, and Clumio said, we're going to really tackle what's going on in the cloud because that's going to be popular, we think. And lo and behold, it is extremely popular, right? So it's a huge territory. What are some of the things that people ran into when they tried to protect their data on the cloud that didn't make it work as well or as nicely as perhaps they had in the days when they had their own tape under their desk?
Great question. I feel like data protection, someone went back in time in the public cloud where everything was now back to a snapshot primitive, right? And everyone relied upon, I'm just going to take a bunch of snapshots and at some point I'm going to be able to figure out how to put it all back together again in the event that I'm attacked or need to recover things. And the big gap there first for customers was I need a solution that centrally manages everything. And I don't want to just keep snapshots in the account because they're susceptible to accidental deletions, ransomware attacks, somebody fat fingering a script, any number of things can happen where things get accidentally deleted. So they wanted to actually start putting data outside their access controls. And that was one of the key capabilities we started off with. Our product called Secure Vault is a way for customers to store their data outside their access controls. It's immutable, it's fully encrypted end to end. They can bring their own keys. We provide a whole bunch of security facilities in a multi-tenant environment. And that's a huge win to start with. And that's really where we kind of cut our teeth in the public cloud. The second big challenge was I don't know what I have out there. And so I need to make sure that I protect things so that I'm not vulnerable. And we built a product called Clumio Discover, which allows them to see all of their assets in one single pane of glass and even determine ransomware risk scores or data recovery scores to ensure that they can deliver on the business requirements. And then lastly, the recovery game was probably one of the bigger challenges that they dealt with. And so we built in the ability to not only do very rapid recovery, but do so in a fine-grained manner so that you can recover files or directories or even down to database records and do so with global search and filtering to be able to make that fast and easy.
All right, wait, hold on a second. So if you're now covering S3 and I got petabytes of data in S3 that I'm backing with Clumio, that sounds kind of dangerous to even just restore somewhere. I mean, I pick a different region, I restore it. My cost just even for replicating that data somewhere are going to go through the roof. How do you help someone actually protect and recover things out of something that large?
Yeah, it is. It actually is a pretty fundamentally challenging problem, backing it up for one and recovering it too.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of time really integrating with AWS directly to be able to do a lot of these facilities. So we created, the first thing was called a protection group. A protection group became an abstraction layer above just having lots of buckets across a lot of accounts. And it allowed you to define what's critical. So we built a data classification componentry into the product so that you only protected what you wanted to protect. And that was critical because that was the first part of making sure you didn't recover things you didn't even care about. The second part that we added in was the ability to be able to do global search on top of those protection groups so that you could define specifically what you wanted to recover. And this reduced the need to just recover a whole bunch of stuff to find out you really only needed one or two of the items within it. And that global search capability gives you filtering, gives you looking at things all the way, file size, the tiers that it's in, wildcard searches, whatever you like to actually get to the data that you want to recover fast. And that's actually one of the big key challenges people deal with is, I don't know what I have out there, so I recover a lot of it, and it costs me a lot to do so.
All right, you increasing your capabilities on Amazon to cover some new things. What are those new things again? And I think you mentioned databases in there and getting down to database records. Maybe you can explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so as part of our integration with the native APIs, we've been able to add a new series of facilities, especially around databases that customers love. We call it granular record retrieval. If you think about it, if you have an RDS instance, I think you mentioned you have some RDS instances out there. When you go to recover it, let's say you just want one or two records. Maybe you accidentally blew away in a wrong script, a couple records. Unfortunately, what you end up having to do is you have to take the old snapshot and you have to recover that RDS instance somewhere. And then you have to go query for those records and then import them back into the RDS database. In the meantime, you're paying for that other RDS instance to run, waiting for all of these processes to occur. In our solution, you can just query the database in the backup directly. And so you can just ask and select for those particular records you're looking for. It gets exported to a CSV file and you import it directly in. You don't have to recover the RDS instance whatsoever. These are the type of facilities of being able to recover faster that you just can't get inside of AWS natively, nor with snapshots as a primitive. And it's a big benefit customers love from us.
Yeah, I think there's a sea change going on here where people just have to get their heads around the fact that if you're working natively in the cloud with these native services, you can do things that you just can't do when you're standing back and looking at it as a black box or a cloud thing somewhere up there and putting your hands around it. You can actually get in there and do clever things under the hood.
Sure.
But I guess to me, this sounds a little complex now and a little costly. So maybe you could address the fact that I'm just not getting into a whole ball of spaghetti here when I'm trying to do this.
So first off, I think cost is at the front and center of things right now, especially with the economy and the like. And at any point in time, everyone's always looking to optimize their AWS costs, right? And so I think one of the things that a lot of people look at is, how do I get air gap protection at the same price as just what I'm doing today? And this was the play with Secure Vault Lite that we just recently announced that enables customers to have a no incremental cost and get air gap protection, even with what they do with snapshots today. But if you think about what happens with cost reduction, the first thing people do is they just start deleting things. And they say, well, maybe we cut our backup duration from 30 days just down to 7, or 1 year, maybe we cut a couple of these monthlies out. We don't really need them. And that results in a whole bunch of accidental deletions, which reduces, removes data that's critical to the business. And so we want to help customers along that journey to not have to deal with a lot of those things. And so all of our solutions enable sizable cost reduction with inherent value. So you actually get a lot more for less, which I know is not typical here, but in comparison to snapshots, we provide sizable functionality. In comparison to the cost basis of those snapshots, we're actually sizably less than what it would be for them to build it themselves.
All right, so if I got an Amazon solution today in an application up there running and I'm doing snapshots, you're saying I could go to Clumio and implement the Secure Vault in Secure Vault Lite in certain circumstances, depending on what I have, and actually have a lower cost for all the features we've been talking about.
Yeah, this is the cool win with Secure Vault Lite in particular. We have a Secure Vault, which is a more feature-rich solution that provides file-level indexing and cataloging, those types of things. But for customers who don't need that, this is the optimal air gap solution that you could ever implement. You have a certain cost basis for the snapshots that you just have in your account. We'll give you less cost to actually move it into Secure Vault Lite, get air gap protection, get a turnkey solution, and do so at less cost. That's a huge win for any enterprise who's looking to
I mean, if
protect.
it's just less cost than the snapshots natively in Amazon directly, it's already compelling in a lot of ways.
Sure.
So if I'm interested in this, if I've got Amazon applications out there, I'm looking at my accounts, how hard is it to try, kick the tires on, and how would I go about even getting started?
So many of our customers just start off with jumping on AWS Marketplace,
Okay.
and they can try our services for 30 days, no cost whatsoever. We have a product called Discover. You can see all of your assets in one view. You can see vulnerabilities. You can start protecting. And during those 30 days, there's no cost whatsoever. You can check out our website at clumio.com. There's a bunch of great information there on the services that we cover, a bunch of cool blog posts on recent announcements and the like. And then we also have a YouTube page which has a bunch of demos and videos about the product as well. And we'd love to hear from you. If they're interested more in the product, we can set up a discussion with our sales team to dive deep into the product and get you to understand a little bit better about the values we can bring to the business.
So everything from just point and click on the marketplace to engage with more of an enterprise class sales team to get into the bits and bytes of all the cool things there.
Yeah. And the
Taking
most important part I'd say is that within 15 minutes, you can get up and running, protecting all of your assets. So that's always a big one for customers with really no lift whatsoever as a SaaS service.
All right, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you one last thing here, and it is really about advice for people in this world of ransomware. What's your biggest piece of recommendation or best practice that they should be doing, Chad?
You got to get your data outside of your access controls. Keeping snapshots locally in your account or even replicating snapshots and managing all of that is a big lift. You're not in the backup business. We're in the backup business, and we want to help you along that journey. We can get data outside your access controls, fully protected, and enable fast recovery with global visibility, all in one solution at less cost than what you're paying for snapshots today.
All right, that's awesome, Chad. I thank you for being here today and explaining this. I'm looking forward to what next comes out of Clumio because I know you guys are got a great roadmap ahead of you as well. So come back and tell us about it. But thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us.
All
Take
right,
care.
check it out. Check out Clumio. You all are in danger of ransomware. This is maybe something that can help you out and save you money. Take care.